Your Excellency, Professor Kleyeh, President of the University of Jordan, Excellencies, Deputies of the President, Ambassadors, distinguished guests, Dr. Zaid Ayadat, Dean of the School of International Studies, Professor Peter, Director of the Center for Middle East Studies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear students, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you here at Jordan University, where the School of International Studies and Political Science, in collaboration with the Southern Denmark University, particularly Center for Middle East Studies, are organizing the International Conference on an Arab World in Transition Theoretical Perspectives. Scholars from Jordan, the region, Germany, Italy, Britain, and Denmark are meeting to discuss both the theoretical aspects as well as the practical implications of the Arab transition. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, the School of International Relations, the School of International Studies and Political Science has placed so much emphasis on intellectual debate over national, regional and international issues, and therefore I call upon His Excellency the Dean of the School to cast his perspective over this conference. So, Dr. Zaid, floor is yours.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It is. This doesn't suit me, Hassan, suits you. And I've been subject to some human rights violation. I'll take the chance, opportunity of your presence, your General Commissioner. The President asked me to cut short my speech. And I will do. Your Excellency, Professor Kleyeh, President of the University of Jordan, Dr. Lamis, Dr. Hala, Vice Presidents of the University of Jordan, Peter Sieber, Director of Center for Middle East Studies at the University of Southern Denmark, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Venezuela, Your Excellency, Dr. Musa Brizad, General Commissioner of the Center for Human Rights, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, my dear students, good morning to every one of you. And also I'll take the opportunity to welcome our distinguished guest, Ambassador of Chile. Please. Good morning to all of you, and welcome to the School of International Studies and Political Science, University of Jordan. Welcome to our international conference on the Arab World in Transition, Theoretical Perspectives. Allow me first to begin by expressing my greatest gratitude and sincere thanks to His Excellency Professor Kleyeh for his unwavering, unconditional, continuous support for School of International Studies. I sincerely thank you very much for that. I also would like to thank my good friend Peter Sieber, the Director of Center on Middle East Studies at the University of Southern Denmark, Odense, Denmark, for his continued collaboration with us to make this event succeed. I also would like to thank every one of our distinguished guest participants in this conference, from Italy, from Germany, from Austria, and from Denmark, from Egypt, from Lebanon, and those who will be attending tomorrow. Thank you very much for all being here, and welcome again, Your Excellency, to this place. Thank you for being with us. Also, I would like to thank the committee of organizing this conference. In particular, I would like to thank Dr. Hassan Al-Momani for his great efforts to organize this conference. Well, Hassan, I have to say, you got potential. Keep on. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Mohammed Khair and Dr. Badal Bali for great efforts in also preparing for this conference. Also would like to send special thanks for Mr. Bo from the Danish side for his great efforts and insights in making this a success event. And I would also single a special thank to Leah, our students from Minnesota, who's doing her master program in human rights and human development, and her good luck brought her to me as supervisor. So thank you, Leah, very much for all your good work. I also would like to take a chance to thank everyone, every member of School of International Studies for their commitment and professionalism and hard work they are doing to make the School of International Studies a special place. I also would like to thank the staff of the School of International Studies, in particular Ikhlas Suez for her great job, but also I would like to thank Lubna, Camelia, Sana, Muhammad Musa, and others of the people who are working with us. Now, actually, I decided not to talk about the substance of the conference. I only wanted to thank people who make this conference happening. And since I will be presenting a paper on the substance of their transition, then I will save my notes to there. But also, I just wanted to say some important thing about the school and its achievement for the last academic year. So since the beginning of the academic year, September 2012, our school up until now has hosted, organized, and launched many lectures, workshops, conferences, and programs, including launching the Leonel Fernandez Center for Latin American Studies, the only center of Latin American studies in the region, a master's program on the Middle East Studies, a master program in global challenges and leadership, and another program on sustainable development. In addition to establishing the Institute for Democracy and Electoral Studies. These new programs and research centers, along with existing programs on American studies, diplomatic studies, conflict management, political science, human rights and human development, constitute a platform for academic development and speak for the logic, rationale, and mindset which govern the school. Over the last few years, the school has established a concrete academic and intellectual partnership with a host of leading institutions around the globe. These include HDCA at Harvard University, Johns Hopkins, Yale, University of Connecticut, Maryland, USC, and others in the United States. In Europe, the University of Southern Denmark, Lund University in Sweden, Cologne University in Germany, Norway University for Life Sciences, Science Po, and Sorbonne in France and Norway, of course, Lewis University, Pavia, Padua, and Santa Anna in Pisa in Italy, Oxford University, Cambridge, LSE, King's College, Durham University in Britain, University of Warsaw, Jagiellonian University, and National Defense College in Poland, Quaid-e-Azam, Nust, and Comstock Universities in Pakistan, Taiwan National University in Taiwan, University of Tokyo in Japan, Cairo University and AUC in Egypt, AUB, LIU, and LAU in Lebanon, and other leading institutions in Latin America. Building on this network of partnerships, the school is determined to redefine the role of universities in society and to contribute to introducing the science of political science in the region and to the advancement of international studies globally. Our conference today discusses the most important aspect of our business as political scientists, that is theory. Scholars from various academic and methodological backgrounds gather here today to scientifically advance and improve our understanding of the transformation taking place in the Arab world. While the outcomes of transitions are always undetermined and uncertain, our goals at the School of International Studies and Political Science are quite clear, determined, and certain, and that to be a regional hub for excellence in research and teaching and a well-known and recognized global think tank. I thank you, all of you, very much for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zaid. And now I call upon Professor Peter, Director of the Middle East Studies at Southern Denmark University, where he will cast his perspective on the different topics of the conference. Please.
Your Excellency, dear Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear students, it's great to be back here once again to another conference, another expression of our good cooperation, as you mentioned. It's great to be back in Jordan again, this wonderful country where, I mean, normally a weather report is not a meaningful thing. It seems that right now something's happening in Jordan, weather-wise at least. Welcome to this joint conference, an Arab world in transition, theoretical perspectives, as we have called it. It's focusing on political and theoretical perspectives in the relations between the Middle East and Europe, and recent Middle East policies. I would say from the Center for Middle East Studies at the University of Southern Denmark, we're very proud to be arranging this conference together with School of International Studies and Political Science at the University of Jordan. The new name that we are getting used to. I would like to thank the University of Jordan for hosting the conference, certainly. The idea of the cooperation goes back to 2009 with the establishing of the JUCO project, Danish-Jordanian University Cooperation, funded, as you might know, by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Denmark and by the University of Southern Denmark. I would like to thank the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs for their continued support for the JUCO project and for the funding of this and other conferences. It's arranged as a joint venture between us and the School of International Studies and Political Science. I would like also to thank very much Dean Said Ehdad, and certainly also Hassan al-Momani, and the whole staff at the School of International Studies for their professional cooperation in connection with this conference. Also a warm thank to Bo, to Leah, to Marie-Louise from JUCO Cooperation staff here in Amman. Let me say a few words about the idea behind the conference. Since late 2010 or early 2011, you could say that the developments in the Middle East have reignited discussions about historical transformation. What is actually going on in the Middle East? In Tunisia, in Libya, in Egypt, in connection with tragic development in Syria, etc. And labeling the events in the MENA region and reading the scope and significance of dynamic processes have caused vibrant scholarly debates, as you're all aware, I'm sure. And we can see it also, we can see it also from the growing number of academic publications coming up in publishing houses around the world. So this is what we said to ourselves, that we would like to maybe alter a bit by focusing more specifically on theoretical aspects of the ongoing discussion, of the ongoing development in the Middle East. And therefore, the title, An Arab World in Transition, Theoretical Perspectives. If you look at the Freedom House publications, if you look at the Bertelsmann Stiftung publications, you can see that these think tanks are working on trying to assess what is going on, discussing if it's a real transition or it's more, should we say, changes, ongoing changes, where we cannot be sure about where we're heading. So the events going on in the Middle East is what is inspiring us for this conference. And the main reason for arranging this event, it is in short the aim of the conference to take the discussion further, and by focusing on transitional dynamics and their theoretical perspectives, to contribute to the wider understanding of historical change. We certainly also hope, as a result of this conference, to be able to publish some of the results in international journals or other ones. The conference, I should mention as well, is followed by a student conference called the Arab Spring Roles, Courses and Consequences, taking place on Tuesday. You're all invited to this event as well. Let me say on behalf of the Center for Middle East Studies in University of Denmark, University of Southern Denmark, and I look forward to this conference, the student conference as well. I'm happy to be here again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Peter. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now I call upon His Excellency Professor Khaled, President of the University of Jnub. So, floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you today to the University of Jordan on the occasion of the opening of the international conference entitled An Arab World in Transition, Theoretical Perspectives, organized by the University of Jordan, represented by its School of International Studies and Political Science, and the University of Southern Denmark, represented by its Center for Contemporary Middle East Studies. For decades, education has been the story of the making of modern Jordan, and since its founding in 1962 by the decree of His Majesty the late King Hussein bin Talal, the University of Jordan has been a significant part of this story. The university is the country's oldest, largest, and leading four-year institution of higher education. It has evolved into a comprehensive university with national and international prominence, and has provided successive generations with solid education that was integral to their success as civil servants, businessmen, politicians, scientists, and entrepreneurs. Today, it has 2 campuses in Amman and Nakaba, 25 faculties, 2 deanships, and 16 centers, in addition to many other supporting resources. It has about 1,650 faculty members responsible for the education of 38,000 students, 2/3 of whom are females, and roughly 4,000 are postgraduate students. The university has also become a magnet for international students who number about 3,000, coming from more than 60 countries. Despite previous successes, the challenges of the time and the needs of knowledge-based society makes it imperative that the university charts new strategies for meeting these challenges. We indeed stand at a juncture of time when the university is poised to embark on a new era of global distinction and achievement. The university's mission is to become a pioneer university amongst the globally ranked ones by providing students with outstanding teaching and learning experience, by adapting research programs, by producing and spreading theoretical and applied knowledge, by contributing effectively to building lifelong learning culture, and by improving the quality of life at the local, regional, and global levels. Transforming its students, faculty, and staff into global citizens capable of engaging people and cultures all over the world is high on the university's agenda. We also envision the universities to literally be an intellectual and cultural melting pot that reflects positively on the values, lives, and careers of those affiliated with it. The university hopes to continue to lead the society and to be country's library for innovation and scientific and cultural ventures. Co-organizing this conference is yet another manifestation of the university's commitment to internationalization, outreach efforts, and cross-cultural exchanges. Your Excellencies, distinguished audience and students, the University of Southern Denmark and the University of Jordan has brought notable scholars from the region and Europe to speak on the recent development in the Arab world. Through this scholarly collaboration, this conference offers a forum for analyzing the regional transitions and movements from various theoretical perspectives. The conference indeed comes at politically and socially crucial moment. I invite and urge you to make the most out of this conference and hope that you will forge concrete collaborative activities and plans. Before closing, I should mention that this conference ends on a hopeful note, with the University of Jordan first ever Young Scholars Conference on Tuesday, April 23rd, organized by students. The conference allows graduate students to present their submitted research papers discussing the roles, causes, and consequences of the Arab Spring, with scholars from the region including the University of Jordan and the American University in Cairo, as well as from the Center for Contemporary Middle East Studies. We look forward to insightful debates. The conference seeks to encourage the next generation of international scholars to begin discussing and analyzing important global issues. Once more, I welcome you all and wish you a very productive conference and an enjoyable stay in Jordan. May God bless you. Thank you all.
Your Excellency, Professor Clement, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, you are all invited for a coffee break, and then after that we will resume our discussions.
With regard to registration, campaigning or media access, then it should be a 7, an 8 or a 6 in this range. And you see, worse general elections are held, but serious irregularities during voting process and ballot count occur. The rights to vote, campaign, and run for office are restricted, and elections have de facto only limited influence over who governs, 4 or 5 or 3. And finally, national elections, if held at all, are entirely unfree and unfair. Then it should be 1 or 2. And what is the situation in Algeria? This is the text, and it's a bit long to read everything now, so I just want to highlight central expressions. There was a radical shift compared to the former elections. It allowed for the first observer mission in the 2012 elections on behalf of the European Union. Algeria has a ratio of 31% of women, because we introduced the women's system, 143 women in the new parliament. Reforms of the electoral law have taken place in 2011. So this all applies for the elections of January 12, 2012. So what we can see is obviously, according to the author's opinion, there was improvement, which has to be reflected. Still negative, of course, number of weaknesses concerning voter registration, absence of national electoral list, limits to the transparency, and fair access to the state media is not yet ensured. This is the text which applies, or which is written by the first expert. You see the first paragraph I took out here, because what we can see is how we work in the BTI to illustrate that. We have an expert and we have a reviewer. And it's an anonymous system, which means expert and reviewer do not know who is the other person. The expert writes a text. The reviewer gets it. And then the reviewer can make suggestions. You see in blue what the reviewer included. And you see in red what the reviewer deleted. And this will be blended back to the author, so that the author then in a revision of his text can see what the reviewer changed in his text, and that he can say, I agree with the changes or I reject the changes. So that is the internal procedure, how we elaborate on the text. And of course, besides this, the reviewer also has the chance to make comments in a separate box, where maybe explanations on certain paragraphs of the text are included, or further explanations what it means or what was excluded because there's time constraint or whatever, place restraint. So that is more or less the system. And this does not look so convincing, but if you have a look, I took Qatar, the executive summary, as an example. Red is what was deleted. Blue is what was added. So depending on the competence, depending on the willingness to work of author and reviewer, it can be really a hard struggle until the final text has been found and agreed upon. And that is my job as the regional coordinator, not only identifying who could be asked to contribute as an author, who could be asked to contribute as a reviewer. I'm the moderator in this dispute. Because through my laptop, through this laptop actually, the texts are transferred back and forth between author and reviewer. And as a side note, in an ideal case, we do it that we have a national expert as the author, an international expert as the author, and a national expert as the reviewer. For Jordan, this applies. For Algeria, in this case, it did not apply. We have two international experts, but very knowledgeable about Algeria, and they discussed, as you can see with the example of Qatar, the different text passages. So that must be done from the beginning to the end of the BTI as a global ranking of the transformation countries. We have 5 steps to go. The first step is the assessment is being done, which means all the country reports are written. Assessment applies to the expert, country expert. And the assessment expert gives the text, which means he gives answers to all the questions, as we have seen with the example of free and fair elections. He elaborates on what happened during the last 2 years, and he gives a score. He makes a suggestion. Algeria should be 6. When this text has been done, it goes to the reviewer. Text, and the reviewer is asked to comment. Does he agree? Does she disagree? Are there suggestions? What is missing? What should be excluded? What is over-exaggerated? And so on. And the reviewer should also give scores, independent from the scores of the first author. So the reviewer does not see what the first author gives. We have 2 independent estimations. And this should be due end of February. Then the text, after I've checked it so far, goes back to the first author in the consolidation process, which means the first author has now the chance to react on the comments made by the reviewer, to accept or to reject, depending on his personal impression, and should submit this text back to me until April 5, and also until April 5, the regional coordinator scores must be identified. This means the scores of the first author and the scores of the reviewer based on the text, in the ideal case they are consolidated text, should enable me to finally decide the first author said 6, the second author said 4, so probably it's a 5 or a 6 or a 4 or something completely different. That's my dictatorial power that I have. But of course I should be turning back to what the author and the reviewer have suggested. So you see the scores should be fixed in the regional coordinator scores until April 5. That's what we have at the moment, and next weekend, I said, we have the calibration round where we might adapt single scores, but overall the majority of the scores